Welcome, everyone. We are so happy to have you join us today um, for our information session on the New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program. I think we can go to the next slide. So we're going to introduce ourselves first before we jump in. So my name is Kim Olsen. I use she, her pronouns. I am the executive director of the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable. For anybody that can't access this presentation visually for any reason, we're each going to give a visual description as well. So I'm a pale-skinned white woman with lots of freckles on her cheeks. I have straight brown hair that goes just above my shoulders. I'm wearing a cozy gray sweater. I have brown framed glasses, and I'm against a blurred background. Kinsey, I'll toss it to you next.
Hey everybody, thanks Kim. My name is Kinsey Keck. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the programs director here at the Roundtable. I am a white woman with brown hair that goes just a couple inches past my shoulders, and I'm wearing a very cozy white long sleeve shirt. And I have some large round wire framed glasses on as well. And I am zooming into you from my kitchen in Washington Heights, so you can see my stove and table behind me and my Texas decoration as well because I am from Texas. I'll toss it to Amanda.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Amanda Adams-Louis. I use she, her pronouns. I'm zooming in from Brooklyn. I am a Black woman. I have green tortoiseshell glasses. My hair is not visible. I am set against the Simpsons background. I'm wearing a black scarf and a red hoodie.
Thanks, all. So we can go to our next slide. If you're new to the Roundtable, the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable is a grassroots service organization working to improve and advance arts ed through professional development workshops, advocacy, online resources, and platforms that help connect the arts education field across the city and the state. We are a community of teaching artists, educators, and cultural workers working to improve, as I said, arts education in New York City schools, communities, and beyond. I'm also going to offer although we are currently meeting via an online platform, the Roundtable would like to acknowledge that we work and live in Mannahatta on the unceded lands known as Lenapehoking. This place is widely known as New York City and exists on the contemporary and ancestral homelands of the Canarsie, Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger peoples. These sovereign nations and communities are still thriving here and in other parts of the country, and we continue to occupy their lands. We'd also like to give a moment of respect to them, as well as to the Black, Latine, Asian, and other immigrant communities which have helped build the city that we know today. As we recognize that all of our pasts, presents, and futures are intertwined, we'd like to uplift contemporary Indigenous arts organizations that we can all support and learn from. I think Amanda's going to put a link to those in the chat. Fabulous. I encourage you to learn more about these orgs, support them with donations if you can. And also, if folks have any resources or organizations, feel free to pop those in the chat as well. We love to be able to highlight different organizations each time that we convene. So thank you. And with that, Amanda, I'll toss it to you.
Just a couple of housekeeping reminders. If you are having trouble with Zoom, please send me or myself or Kinsey a private message in the chat. A reminder to keep your mic on mute, please, unless you're the person speaking or you're asking a question. We encourage everybody to use the chat to ask questions and also connect with other people that are in the Zoom meeting. This meeting is being recorded and it also includes closed captioning. To activate closed captions, please click the captions button on your toolbar and select show captions. And a recording of this meeting will be made available on the Roundtable's YouTube page, probably within a couple days of the end of this meeting. Tossing it to Kinsey.
Thank you, Amanda. So here we have our brief agenda for today's info session. We've started with a welcome. We're going to do an overview of the mentorship program. Then we will pause for some questions. Then we will move to just a quick walkthrough of the application, what it looks like, what the questions are, and then we'll wrap up with more questions and some final reminders. To wrap up our welcome, we would love to hear from you all. If you could put in the chat what characteristics you are looking for in a mentor. And while you're doing that, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge our program partners who we're so grateful for making this mentorship program happen. So thanks so much to the New York State Council on the Arts. NYSCA is dedicated to preserving and expanding the rich and diverse cultural resources that are and will become the heritage of New York citizens. As I said, the Roundtable's New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program is made possible by the New York State Council on the Arts with the support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature, and with additional support from the Cornelia T. Bailey Foundation. Thank you to them both for making this program a possibility. It's really because of their support, these folks' support, that this kind of seed of an idea has become a reality. I think we've got some answers in the chat. So we're looking for a wealth of varied experience. Yes, transparency, openness, honesty, flexibility, someone with nonprofit knowledge, clarity, trust, amplification, ease, and balance. Liz says someone who has been able to make performing and teaching equally important in their career in NYC, each feeding each other. Folks, let's see, experience working with rural communities, other teaching artists who are involved with seniors and disabled folks, directness with feedback, experience, yes, museum education expertise. So these are just a few of the characteristics that folks are looking for, and hopefully folks who are mentees in our program will be able to find that with their perfect mentor match. I'm gonna move forward now, and I think I'm tossing it back to Amanda. Is that right?
Yeah, you are. So let's see. The slide before was just a couple of verification questions around the program. Are you a New York State resident? Do you have at least 4 years of teaching experience? Are you employed as a freelance or independent teaching artist? And these are questions that we're just asking because they are first thing you will see when you open the application. They are the eligibility criteria. I said my name and shared my pronouns, but I forgot to share my job title. I am the Mentorship Program Coordinator, which is why I am walking everybody through the program. If you are selected, you'll be working with myself, Kinsey, and Kim, but probably most directly with me. So the New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program is a dream come true for the Roundtable and for the arts education sector overall. It's a pretty big claim, but I'm willing to stand behind it. So how does the program actually work? First off, it does come with a $2,200 grant and a stipend that is dispersed in 3 different installments. 22 teaching artists will be selected for the 2025 cohort, and it involves direct one-to-one mentorship. And the requirements are that all folks that are selected to attend the program complete 8 field hours, which means 8 hours engaging or working in an activity that furthers your goals as a teaching artist, or your goals as an artist itself, depending on what your overall vision for your mentorship period is. So for example, if you say, join the program and say, I want to join a nonprofit, your field hours probably most productively should be dedicated to learning about the different aspects of founding a nonprofit, building a board, budgeting, grant writing, et cetera, just to give everybody sort of a real life example of how one would utilize those 8 field hours. Additionally, we have 3 professional development workshops that are curated with myself, Kinsey, and the Teaching Artist Affairs Committee, which is another aspect of the Roundtable's programming that does directly serve teaching artists. And it is a committee of about 15 to 20 artists that work together to meet to discuss various issues, as well as plan in-person and online events, workshops, get-togethers, and they're also working with us on the teaching artist pay survey or compensation survey, just to give you an example of that committee and their role in curating and planning, as well as within the roundtable. And if you're a teaching artist yourself, it is a shameless plug for the committee. Finally, we've got 5 coffee dates, and those are sort of more intimate meetings between the cohort and different leaders in the field around specific topics. To give you a couple examples from this year, Our last coffee date was with two teaching artists that had transitioned to being adjunct professors. So it was exploring their journey from being a freelance arts educator working in the K through 12 sector to transitioning to being an adjunct or a full-time associate professor. And we had a professor that was working at a private school as well as one working at a public school to give contrasting views of the higher education system and how one would specifically transition from being a teaching artist to being a professor within two different sort of formats for education. So that's coffee dates. Let's see. The overall, not my freewheeling description, but the proper overall description is the purpose of the program is to proactively help mid-career teaching artists from across the state develop the network skills, increase capacities necessary to support advancement and sustainability for the field of teaching artistry. And for the purpose of this program, we're defining mid-career as somebody that has 4 years consistent experience. This does not have to be back-to-back, but you should be able to demonstrate 4 solid school years of work as an arts educator. I just grabbed the components, honorarium. I think I did everything. Yeah, I'm tossing it back.
Great, sure thing. Great. And Michelle, thanks for joining us. We're going to do our best to also verbally share any text that's written on the slides as well. That way you're able to access it. Glad to have you here. So why a mentorship program right now? Why for teaching artists? And so at the roundtable, we believe teaching artists are superheroes. You are unicorns with a very specific knowledge set. That you bring your artistry, your pedagogy, and working in community and school settings across the state, very much working at the heart of schools and communities. And yet we know that the career paths of teaching artists haven't necessarily taken a singular path. And oftentimes you need to wear many hats. So in addition to that, we see that there's oftentimes, because you are maybe traveling from place to place, there aren't a ton of opportunities to make connections or mentorship opportunities to sort of support your own growth and development. We also know from pre-pandemic, having surveyed our community, 88% of folks were coming to us wanting mentorship within the field. And so it's with all of this knowledge in mind that we are thrilled to officially launch the New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program. Now back in 2022, I believe, seeded with funds from the New York State Council on the Arts. And we are thrilled that they, now along with our another foundation supporter, the Cornelia T. Bailey Foundation, share in our values and goals to supporting teaching artists, viewing the work that you do as essential. And yeah, so that is why we are excited to be continuing now with our 4th cohort of the New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program.
So 100% of our participants agreed that they learned something new as a result of being in the program, and they also reported to being satisfied with their overall experience of the program. I was able to get to know my mentor professionally and personally in a deep and meaningful way. I was able to build a very good professional connection that will grow over time. Kinsey, can you transition us to the yearbook page? So we are, and I can put a link in the chat to this page. Oh, thank you, Kim. So
Gotcha.
this is very, 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 very spanking brand new, like launched last week new. And if it's not clear, I'm super proud. It's the little things that shows all of our amazing mentors and all 3 of our cohorts, including our current cohort. Shout out to the members of our current cohort. And we just dropped a link in the chat, and this is one of the best pages that you can visit as an applicant for the program to learn more about it and also get a sense of the past cohorts.
All right. I am up next, Kinsey speaking. So let's talk about project goals for the New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program. We have them outlined here on this slide. First is to help at least 22 mid-career teaching artists to develop the skills, networks, and increased capacities necessary to support career sustainability and advancement. Second, we have engage cultural leaders to become proactive advocates for TAs as they transition to more senior positions. And third, to provide professional development opportunities to New York State teaching artists focused on the business of teaching artistry and the nonprofit sector. And I think another note that I have here is sort of to Kim's point earlier, longevity in the arts ed field requires TAs to wear many hats, shifting from educator, artist to advocate, administrator, cheerleader, organizer, collaborator, business manager, marketer, and that's just a few, many more as well. And so our goal is to support these diverse skill sets as pathways to advancement in the field, specifically with one-to-one mentorship, the PD, and then field experiences as well. So on our next slide, let's talk eligibility. We have some points here. So if folks who are eligible must be independent mid-career teaching artists or teaching artist assistants, defined as working with students in New York State public, private, and charter schools, higher education, and or New York State community groups such as senior centers, libraries, religious institutions, prisons, veteran centers, or the like. Eligible candidates must also be a current resident of New York State, any region, but must be a current resident of New York State. And then an asterisk here says this opportunity is intended for teaching artists who are not full-time permanent employees with a single organization. On the other side of this screen, we have a list of things that make candidates ineligible to be a part of this program. So you must be an individual. You cannot be an organization. If you are not a New York State resident, you are unfortunately not eligible. Or if you are currently employed as a certified teacher by a New York State school, i.e. teachers on permanent staff of New York State public schools. Or if you're a current staff member or board member of the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable, you would not be eligible to apply for the program. Let me toss it to you, Kim.
I will say on eligibility, we know that there are questions that oftentimes come up around one's specific circumstances. Please, we'll put our email information at the end as well. If you are not quite sure if something applies to you or doesn't, please always reach out. Also, if you have questions related to it now, as I see Nicole has done, feel free to put it in the chat. We're going to come back to them or try our best to address them in the moment. So moving on though, for now, before we pause for questions in a bit, program structure. So as Amanda talked through, we have a few different components of this program. The first of which, and very much the centerpiece, is one-on-one mentorship. As part of this program, you are expected to meet virtually or in person, or a mix of the two, with a mentor at least once a month. You are asked to participate in a minimum of 7 meetings total, or meetings totaling 7 hours over the course of your time in the program. And those mentor meetings typically will begin in March. That's because the first 2 months of your participation in the program is us getting to know you and then doing a bit of the mentor matchmaking behind the scenes, which is typically how we pair our mentees with potential mentors. The second component of this program is professional development. So mentees are expected to attend a series of workshops that are curated by our Teaching Artist Affairs Committee and our mentorship coordinator. These dates are January 15th, 22nd, and 29th. They're listed on our website and also in the application as well. In addition to those professional development dates, mentees are also able to attend our annual face-to-face conference and days of learning for free if they are interested. If folks are located outside of the New York City area, we also provide a modest hotel and travel stipend so that folks are able to come down and visit with us for those events, because they are typically in person in one of the 5 boroughs. In addition, we found through the course of our administering this program, oftentimes teaching artists have questions that are legal in nature and need the help of a lawyer. So as part of the program, teaching artists also receive a 1-year free membership with Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts. Let's see. And going back, so that 1-hour virtual workshops are related to the January 15th, 22nd, and 29th. They're all free and open to all. So if you're not able to be selected for the program this year, you are able to attend those public workshops. If for any reason you are interested in applying, but there's something that is conflicting on your end with those professional development workshops, please email us directly at mentorship@nycaieroundtable.org. And we can see if we might be able to connect with you separately to see if we might be able to make something work if accepted. Let's go on to the next slide. So the third component of this program is the coffee dates. So these are held once a month from March through September, excluding the month of August. And essentially, these are like bring a cup of coffee, sit on a Zoom, chat with somebody informally of an area of interest for you. That could be on budgets, classroom management, grant writing, social media, working with multilingual learners. As Amanda just said, we had one last week on transitioning to working into the higher ed space. So very much these are curated based on the needs of the cohort at large. I will say that attendance is expected at least 3 of these sessions, and they are typically scheduled around the cohort's broader availability. And as I alluded to, topics and dates, they are selected based on the interests and availability of the mentee cohort. Let's go to the next slide. And then field hours. So this is the part of the program where we don't like to be as prescriptive, but we want to acknowledge that oftentimes learning can happen out and about. And these field hours are meant to provide you, as the participant, with an opportunity to explore multiple arts education settings and to complement your mentorship sessions. These field hours might take place in a school, pending fingerprint clearance. They might take place at a community organization, cultural institution, museum, theater, or other settings related to ultimately the delivery of arts education programs and your goals for the program. And so as artists and educators, we know that inspiration for your work can come in many forms. And these field hours are meant to give you time, space, and resources to explore that. And so it is required that you complete 8 field hours over the course of your time in the program. We often find that participants end up completing a lot more than that because they are interested in going out and about. Their mentor might connect them with opportunities to support their own development. In addition to that, the roundtable staff, with our pretty extensive network, is also able to support mentees if they're looking for a certain type of experience. Let's go to the next slide. Amanda, tossing to you.
So the mentors are leaders in their field throughout arts education, the visual, performing, and often theater arts. So how does matchmaking and mentorship work? Teachers will have a discussion with the coordinator, aka me. I'm gonna just, sorry. It's been a long day. I'm going to explain the process in the way that it makes sense in my head, and I will refer to all of the information in the slides, but it might sound a little different. Sorry, everybody. It's just, I'm an artist. I have an artist brain. So once you are admitted to the program, you will attend the PDs that we have in January. And while you are attending those PDs, you'll have a one-on-one conversation with me, the mentorship coordinator, where I will get to know you in sort of a quick coffee date sort of way, and get a sense of what are your goals, what do you hope to have come from your time in the program? What do you want to accomplish? What you want to make? What do you want to create? How do you want to grow, develop? Because goals can look very differently for different people. So I'm saying this in an open-ended way. Once you have shared that with myself, I will share that with the rest of the team. And then we sit down and meet and figure out the best person that we can match you with to achieve your goals, based upon our networks and the networks of the people that are part of the Roundtable's board, perhaps the teaching artist committee, past artists that we've worked with, and vendors. And folks that are just connected through the arts education industry and network that the Arts and Education Roundtable convenes as an organization. From that point, we will reach out to those prospective mentors, see if they have the capacity, interest, and availability to work with the mentee that we'd like for them to mentor. If they confirm, then we will put you guys in touch with each other, and also share phone numbers and email addresses so you guys can get in contact with each other. And then at that point, we will say, all right, you guys have been matched, take it from here, prosper, grow, do great things together. Yeah, I think I said everything on the thing. And you can also get a sense of who their mentors are by looking up the list of names that's on the yearbook page. And then also full disclosure, I was a mentor the first year, so I can say that as being a mentor, like the mentors, and most of the mentors have said this as well, also learn and grow from the experience. So it's definitely a symbiotic experience and relationship that mentees and mentors have, just from a past perspective. Handing it over, because I know I went over time.
No, no, you're doing just fine. I think also something important to note that our goal in pairing mentees with mentors from outside of their employing organization is that we want folks to be able to engage in candid conversation that you might not necessarily feel comfortable doing so with somebody that might be employing you or that is working at the same organization. And to be able then to talk about barriers and opportunities that you face in your career. So I will say we have a very high success rate in terms of successful pairings. Maybe we've had once that somebody has said, I'm looking for a new mentor because they realized through their participation in the program that the goals they articulated actually ended up being quite different from what they actually felt like they needed to take a next step in their career. Yeah, I think we're able to go on to our next slide, which I think is questions. I did see 2 in the chat, which I'll uplift verbally, and then we'll give space. We'll answer those, then we'll give space for folks to either come off mute and ask a question or to put your question in the chat. The first question I saw was, can one apply if they are on a roundtable committee and have more than 4 years of experience? And the answer is yes. We found that some folks that apply for the program might have 4 years of experience. Some folks might have 30, 35, 40 years of experience. And given that teaching artistry isn't necessarily a linear career, we just ask that you have sort of that minimum level of experience before applying. That way you're not maybe fresh into the field. And then in addition to that, you can apply if you're a part of a roundtable committee. You cannot apply if you are a staff member or a member of the roundtable board. And the next question is, do I qualify if I teach through a nonprofit? And I believe the answer is yes, that if you are, say, working for another organization, you are welcome to apply. It's only if you are full-time at that organization as a teaching artist or full-time, maybe not as a teaching artist, that you're unable to apply to the program. This is intended for teaching artists that are independent and working part-time either at one or multiple organizations or say working as independent contractors. But you can be working at nonprofits. We find that most of the folks that do apply are working for a nonprofit organization. Kinsey and Amanda, any other questions come through?
Yeah, I'll take the most recent one. So there is no criteria around the origin of your experience for the 4 years. So if you have 4 years experience teaching in Burundi, Moldova, Uganda, or I don't know, Czech Republic, and you can demonstrate that on your resume. Now your resume and your materials do absolutely have to be in English. Because that's the language that the program is administered in, but we do accept resumes and materials of people teaching abroad in foreign countries. Good
You
question.
just must be a New York State resident at the time of application and during the program as well. But yeah. Let's see, the next question I see is, I have some private students and teach 3 hours per week in internal creations. Am I eligible? Also, I'm Italian but live in New York City on a O1 artist visa. So as long as you are a resident in New York State, as long as we're eligible to be able to pay you, that you can provide information, which we'll get into further in terms of like tax ID for us to be able to remit a 1099 to you at the end of the year. And as long as your teaching artist experience, which I know broadly, like that term can be quite broad in how that's defined, as long as you have at least 4 years of teaching artist experience, then you should be eligible to apply. We recognize TAs, though, oftentimes they might be doing the TA gig, but they also might be doing an artist gig. They might be doing a non-arts related gig as well. But that's why we say sort of 4 years overall is our goal. See, I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. Folks want to also come off of mute, raise a hand, or put in the chat. Always work.
Hi, my name is Joan. That's my husband's name, so I'm sorry. I wanted to ask, I came to this session because I wanted to be a mentor. I have some, so I didn't know if that would be addressed here, but I was interested to see what the whole process was. And the reason that I wanted to be a mentor was that I have many years of teaching, many years, but I'm also a special educator, and I've been trained in some dance programs that specifically address special needs populations. And there's such a need out there for this. And that's my sort of mission in my life at this point, is to bring some of those dance programs to special populations. And there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for work in that area. So that's my question.
Sure.
Yeah.
So thanks, Joan. What I'll say about the mentor process is, number one, I would say email us separately, because oftentimes what we'll do is we'll also just gather folks that have reached out to us with interest in becoming a mentor.
Mhm.
Due to how highly specialized the matchmaking process is, we can't necessarily guarantee like mentorship within a given year, because oftentimes we find that it might be extremely specific. So for example, last year we had somebody that was interested in pursuing Chinese folk art with senior populations and wanting to deepen that work. So what I would say is send us an email at that mentorship at. That way we can sort of gather contact information, area of interest, and then we can go from there. And if it ends up being a match, we'll move from there.
Okay, thank you. So I'll listen to everything anyway, because it's always good to have the big picture of what's going on. Thank you.
Thanks. I think with that, let's keep on trucking and take a look at the application.
Alrighty, so our slides are back up. Let's walk through the application. Here we have a list of application materials that you'll need. So number one is the application form, which is on the submittable platform. I'm going to click that link and take us there in just a moment. But first, I want to acknowledge that you'll also need these other materials with you when you want to submit your application. You'll need your teaching artist bio or resume, any websites or LinkedIn links that you would like to include in your application, have those ready. And you'll also need proof of current New York State residency. So before we look at the application itself, I just want to talk a little bit more about what is accepted as proof of New York State residency. This is also, you'll be able to find this list on the application materials as well, but the Roundtable will accept any of the following documents as proof of address. So that's valid driver's license, a property tax receipt, posted mail with the name of the applicant, a utility bill, a lease agreement, an insurance card, a voter registration card, or college enrollment papers. So we'll only need one of those items, and any one of them will do to prove your New York State residency. And now I think let's go back here. Okay, there we go. So I have here our submittable application pulled up. You'll see it has the Arts and Education Roundtable logo at the top. Then you have some information here about the program itself. As you scroll down, it is going to ask you for your address. This is our office address here. So you'll be putting in your address and a phone number to move forward to the application. So I'll click Save and Continue and move to the next page. You still have that information to refer to up here at the top about the program. And then we get into the application questions. So I'm just going to run through these quickly, but if anyone needs me to pause and talk a little bit more about something, please just let me know in the chat and I'll trust my colleagues to stop me. So first, are you a current resident of New York State? Again, listed here, we have all the regions that are eligible and encouraged to apply, which includes Western New York, Finger Lakes, Southern Tier, Central New York, North Country, Mohawk Valley, Capital District, Hudson Valley, New York City, and Long Island. And as it's listed again here, TAs selected for the program are expected to remain residents of New York State for the duration of the program, which is January to November 2025. Your second question is, do you identify as a teaching artist? The definition that I shared earlier is listed here again as well. That's a yes or no. Are you a full-time permanent employee for a single organization? Are you currently employed as a certified teacher by a New York State school? Are you a current staff member or member of the board at the roundtable? Oh, I actually need to be answering these so we can move forward. Sorry about that. I'm going to do that really quickly as we go through. Okay. Yes, current resident. Yes, teaching artist. Full-time permanent employee. No. Are you currently employed as a certified teacher? No. Are you a current staff member? No. Okay, great. So these are basically all the eligibility questions. So we'll have you answer these to determine whether you can move forward with the application. This last question here, are you able to provide the following information to process digital payment? That's going to be your social security number, employer identification number, or an individual taxpayer ID number. And we'll also want bank account number and a routing number so that we can pay you. So I'll click yes to that, and we'll move to the next questions. So we are eligible to apply, and now here is the full application. So we'll be sharing contact information, your legal name, your preferred name if it's different from your legal name. We'll need your email address, phone number, your street address, proof of New York State residency. So all of those documents we just talked about, we'll need an image of that or a PDF or something that you can upload here. And then we'll also collect some demographic information. So we're asking, what is your age? What is your race or ethnicity? What is your gender? Do you identify as having a disability? And then we're going to move forward to your teaching artist information. So we'll ask you to select which New York State county you reside in. We'll ask you to select which best describes your artistic discipline. How many years have you been working as a teaching artist? We have an upload box here. Please upload a bio, 500 words or less, a resume, or a CV that demonstrates your work experience, training, and or professional development in arts education. I believe that only one file can be uploaded here, so just so you know. If you do have links that you'd like to share or your LinkedIn page, you can enter those links in the next question. We want to know how you heard about this opportunity as well. And then we move to section 4, which is about mentorship. So the first question is, how would you prefer to meet with your mentor? That can be virtual, in person, both, or you don't have to be sure. That's okay too. That can be something you determine once you're matched with your mentor. But we'd like to know ahead of time, just in case if you have a preference. What particular area of interest or desired focus do you want to concentrate on for your mentorship? So this is a limit of 200 characters. We do have some examples listed at the bottom. For example, arts administration, higher education, starting your own business or nonprofit, working with a specific population in the classroom. That could be veterans or folks in the military, creative aging or seniors and older adults, people, experiencing incarceration or reentry, people with disabilities, people from the LGBTQIA+ community, people experiencing homelessness, multilingual learners or English language learners, educators, or it could be something different, but we'd like to know here. Next is, have you ever been part of a formal mentorship program during your career as a teaching artist? That's a yes or no. And then we move to the long format questions. So I do want to read aloud here this guidance. Applicants may choose to answer the following questions via short written responses directly in the application, or you may submit your responses via a video, not to exceed 5 minutes in length. We strongly encourage all applicants to review the overarching criteria that will be considered in evaluating your application, which can be found on the mentorship program website. And then we move to these questions. So the first is, what are your personal and professional goals for participating in this program? You have 500 words there, or you can do the video. Next is this program is intended to support the career advancement of teaching artists. Knowing that sustainability in the field of arts education can take many different forms, where do you hope to be in your career in 2 to 5 years? And how do you see this program supporting those goals? And the next question is, what is or are the challenges you are facing in terms of taking the next step in your career? How do you see a mentorship relationship helping you address these challenges? We have complete this sentence. My ideal mentor would be blank. So this gives you 250 words, a chance to tell us exactly what you're looking for in a mentor. Next, we have, after reviewing the program timeline, how will you prioritize this mentorship program in light of your other time commitments and responsibilities? And then you have the option to upload a video if you choose to answer those questions via video instead. And then we have one final question here. Is there anything else you would like to share about your life or career that you feel would enhance your application for this program? So you have 250 words to play with there. And then last, we ask folks to just check, yes, I understand the deadlines and commitments associated with this grant opportunity that are outlined below. These are some things we've already discussed in terms of attending the virtual professional developments in January, the mentorship meetings that will be once a month from March to October 2025 to be coordinated between the mentee and mentors schedules themselves, our 5 coffee date sessions that will take place between March and September, and your 8 field hours that we went over as well as a program requirement. I'll note here, you can see at the bottom of the application, you can submit or you can save a draft. So you're very welcome to work on your responses here. I just highly encourage you to save your draft every couple of minutes. That way, if you need to step away and you return to the application later, you've got all of your answers in there for you. There's also a Google Doc of the questions that we have. If you would like to review that beforehand, you can access all the questions in that Google Doc there, so you don't have to start answering things here to move forward. And I'll just note that if that is something that you would like to do, or if you would like to prepare your answers ahead of time in a Google Doc, we just ask you to not try to edit our Google Doc. If you'll just click File and make a copy, you can make your own Google Doc version of the questions that you can prepare your answers in. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment on the application dates and deadlines here.
All right, my turn again. So the application is already open. It opened on October 15th. Today is the information session. You are at it now. And the application closes on Friday, November 15th at 11:59 p.m. I'm going to just pause here and say that there are a lot of arts organizations and other sort of programs and opportunities that will often set a deadline and then 2 or 3 days before that deadline extend the deadline. Is everybody sort of familiar with that practice? Thumbs up in the chat, show of hands. Like, have you ever applied to something and had the deadline extended on you, right? The roundtable does not do that. We do not do that at all. This is a hard deadline. There will be no extensions. I'm going to just be the bad guy because I'm used to it in life and say no mercy, no deadlines. If you like Cobra Kai, no mercy. Deadlines. Yeah, I saw a laugh. So good. I'm glad there's other Cobra Kai fans. It's a great show. It's on Netflix. It's the new version of The Karate Kid. Just have to quickly recommend it. But I'm coming from the same energy of that sensei. No mercy, no deadline extensions. With this particular aspect, we are lovely, nice, accommodating, welcoming people in every other aspect of the program except extending the deadline. Just a quick note. All right. So if you are accepted or if you are not accepted, you will be notified by Friday, December 20th. The program and its activities will not begin until 2025 because who does anything that last 2 weeks of December for real? So we will begin the program activities, professional development sessions on Wednesdays, January 15th, 22nd, 29th. We will be holding the professional development sessions between 6:30 and 7:30 p.m. I will probably be the moderator and facilitator. So if you like me now, show up again then. The mentorship meetings of the program will start in March because we will still be matchmaking in January and February, to be very honest. So you will not meet with your mentor till March if you're accepted, but we will have other sort of things for you to engage with in that time. And we ask that these 7 hours of meeting happen between March and October 2025 to be tailored to your own individual schedules. So the meeting schedule, when you meet, how you meet, where you meet is to be decided between the mentees and the mentors. We give you the overall framework of please meet this amount of time between these set of months for that to make sense. The coffee dates. We will be scheduling between March and September. We do not schedule coffee dates in August because everybody should go on or be on vacation in August. I feel the whole world should be on vacation in August. If it's not clear, I'm a Leo, I am. So 5 coffee date sessions, big part of the program. We ask that you all attend at least 3 of them because they are a great way to network with the folks that are delivering the sessions and also get to know fellow people in the cohort. I'm on full screen, so I don't know if oh, no, I'm doing funding and payment, yes. So the award amount for this opportunity is $2,200. It will be awarded in 3 different parts, pending the submission of all of your banking tax information, a full and complete signature, and a submission of your W-9 form, banking information, completion of the project goals. The last payment will not be paid out until you have completed all of the criteria necessary to complete the program. We, as the roundtable, either pay out via ACH, so that's like a direct bank transfer, or via check sent through the mail. All income received in the United States, because Uncle Sam has never played with his money, is taxable income for the most part. So the $2,200 will be taxed. It is New York State. We leave that to you and your accountant to calculate the amount, but I can advise you that you should take something out of the amount you get. Don't spend it all. And the award is meant to cover your time of participation in all aspects of the program. So it might be used to fund something for field hours. It might be used to fund going out to meet your mentor. We intend to award you this money to facilitate your participation in the program.
I know that Kim said this out loud. I don't know if you said it out loud, but you will be receiving a 1099. This will be a 1099 payment. So as Amanda said, consider that for your taxes. But yes, I did. I was supposed to say that earlier and I don't think I did. So there we go. Okay, we've talked about these things. We talked about dates and deadlines, how funds are awarded. Okay, yes, this is meet review, process, and criteria. So a panel of 8 New York State-based teaching artists and arts education practitioners will be reviewing the applications, and they will be doing that using the following criteria. First is demonstrated evidence of experience, training, and/or professional development in arts education. The second is articulated desire to take the next step in your career, whether deepening work as a teaching artist or expanding work beyond teaching artistry. Next is clarity in being able to articulate personal and professional goals, the why of why you are interested in this opportunity, and a sense of commitment to the program. So I think that you'll be able to see, looking at this and what we just walked through at the application, these benchmarks kind of correlate to many of the questions, those longer form questions at the end of the application. So just really encourage you to have this criteria sitting next to you as you're formulating your answers to those long form questions, because this is exactly what your application will be scored on. And I don't believe I said this, but that panel of folks doing the reviewing, you'll have 2 reviewers that will be reviewing each application. So just so you know. I think that's it. We're back to questions.
Fabulous. I've been gathering questions from the chat. Thanks all for putting those in. I'm going to address those first, and then we'll open it up to the larger group. The first that I was not able to answer in the chat is, since I'm blind and use a screen reader to navigate, in case I experience accessibility issues, is there any accommodation for blind applicants? And the answer is yes. And this goes for anybody that might have an access need if the submittable platform is not one that you are able to access. Please let us know ASAP. That way we can come up with an alternative way for you to apply. We'll say if you do wait for the day of or the hour before the application deadline is due, we will likely not be able to accommodate, but we encourage you to please log into Submittable, see if it's something you're able to access. It's my understanding that it is compatible with different screen readers. If that is not something that you feel like you are able to access, simply email us at mentorship@nycaieroundtable.org, and then we can go from there. Other alternatives we've used in the past is having a Google Doc version that is then shared with us separately. Let's see.
There's a good question about all the can the questions be answered in a 5-minute video versus 250-word question? Like, I'm understanding this question to mean do they have to use the same format to respond to all the questions, like writing versus video?
Yes. So we don't, either we ask that you share your responses via video, or you share your responses in writing. Don't necessarily use it as an opportunity to double dip and do both the video and responses. Our reviewers only have capacity to review one of those. For the person that wrote that question, does that get at what you were asking?
Yes, it answers it. Thank you.
And then how many applications do you usually receive? Great question. So I will say this is a very competitive program, and that's why we've been working to try to increase the number of spots we have. In previous years, we've just had 12. We're now at 22 and hoping to have more spots added as we get more funding to do so. Last year, we received 174 applications. So competitive program, that's about a 12 to 13% acceptance rate. I will say we are very keen to make sure that folks are accepted from across the state as well. So from all regions of New York State, as it is the New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program. And so it's something that we encourage that if you are not, say, accepted this year, please do apply in the future as well. Typically all folks that apply for the New York State Teaching Arts Mentorship Program then also get a free 1-year individual membership with the roundtable as well, just for us to also honor the labor that you put into doing the application. Let's see. Yes, I said the admission rate, and then I also saw what I qualify if I have more than 4 years of experience teaching an after-school program. Would it matter what I was teaching? So the experience must be in arts education. It must be working as a teaching artist. So if you have 4 years of experience in after school, but say that was working in a sports program, that would not necessarily qualify as work as a teaching artist. So really, we're looking at 4 years of experience as a teaching artist. That can be in any setting, because we know TAs pop up in the most unlikely of places in the best possible way. If you have specific questions about your own unique circumstances, again, I find the best is feel free, if you'd like to put it in the chat, raise it here, or reach out to us via email. We can sort of go through and see if this is the right fit based on your experience. Sarah.
I have, oh, sorry, echoing because we're more than one person in the room in here. I just kind of a weird question, but I know like when I'm reading the criteria, it says like not an organization. And so I've been a teaching artist my whole adult life for like 20 years. So somewhere in there, I made an LLC. And so I still, like last year, worked to get the LLC, was using that to become a vendor with the DOE in New York. But so I have that as like a name, and some of it's just for my protection for like legally, like a family or something, even though I don't intend on ever being sued, if that makes sense. But I also don't know. I'm like, am I an organization? Like, it's like a funny way to.
That is a great question. And I will say that we oftentimes will have TAs that apply or ultimately participate that might have their own nonprofit or LLC. The reason why we say, so this grant is going to you as an individual. So it will then be paid out via your own Social Security based on how NYSCA's guidelines are in terms of how we re-grant the funds. However, that criteria in terms of not an organization is intended for to avoid like an organization wanting to get into a mentorship with somebody else to advise on the org overall. You might want to have a mentorship to maybe grow your organization, but this is you as Sarah that is seeking mentorship.
All right,
as opposed
awesome.
to you as ABC company.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Other questions that folks might have?
Hi, I was pretty late, so if this has been already addressed, you can just let me know and I can watch the video later. My question is, in order to apply to the program, do we need to specify what we want? How do we want to grow as TAs, or like as a specific project, or it can be more abstract or more ideas of what we want to do, or like on our next phase as teaching artists, or that's not needed, or it is needed.
Question. Amanda, can I toss that to you?
Yeah. I guess it's an info session, so I'm how do I put this? I would say clarity is always helpful, right? When the people who are evaluating the applications, it will help them to have a sense of what you are hoping to accomplish in general. Now, the details of it, you probably won't know because it takes a while to sometimes realize exactly what you want to do. But to have a general sense of, I'd like to be mentored with somebody that has this, this, and that because I want to do X, Y, Z is more helpful to you as a candidate than if you say, well, in general, I think I want to explore my creativity more. But because we're all artists, that's what we do, right? But how do you want to explore your creativity? How do you want to explore it through expanding your skill set, expanding your network, expanding your range of collaborators, expanding who you are serving? This is just random stuff I'm making up in my mind, by the way. This is not any direct sort of like, this is what you should write, but just to give an example of how you can describe what you hope to do over the 10-month period that you would be in the mentorship program. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you. That was great. Thank you.
Perfect. So I see we're right at the 7 o'clock mark. If we wouldn't mind just tossing up our PowerPoint to close us out, although I can hang on for a few more minutes if folks have additional questions. Again, applications, this is a hard deadline of November 15th of this year at 11 o'clock or at 11:59 Eastern time. We are not able to extend the deadline due to other applications happening, so it must be submitted. We are not able to make exceptions. Let's go to the next slide. We love to answer questions, and please feel free to reach out at any point if you have questions about anything we've shared today. All of our contact information can be found there. Our mentorship email, mentorship@nycaieroundtable.org. Amanda's email, she is our mentorship coordinator, as well as myself, in addition to our website. And let's go to our final slide. And the roundtable does a lot of fun things also outside of this mentorship program. So knowing that we have an audience of TAs, we hope you might join us for our upcoming PD on November 18th called Financing It. This in particular workshop is the third in a series of learning series about financing. It's called Financing a Room of Your Own. And this is going to be a conversation with folks that are operating community-based third spaces, and to talk a little bit about more of what it looks like to own, operate, work in your own space. So we'll stop screen sharing there. We'll hang on for another 2 minutes if folks have any additional questions, but otherwise, thanks for joining us today. We're so excited to read your applications, and we hope to see you soon. Have a lovely evening.